It's a nice dress. You'll be very pretty.
I want you to like it.
The film opens with Ngoc Minh Quan, a humble restaurant owner and former Special Forces soldier, arriving to pick up his daughter Fan from school. Fan is excited about an upcoming dance and eagerly asks her father to take her shopping for a dress in downtown London. Quan drops her off at a clothing boutique and goes to search for a parking spot. While maneuvering his vehicle, he accidentally bumps into another car. Before the two drivers can exchange information, a catastrophic explosion tears through the street. The blast wave shatters storefronts, obliterates vehicles, and sends debris flying everywhere. Quan is thrown back, his face lacerated by broken glass, but only one thought consumes him: his daughter. Ignoring his injuries, he staggers toward the decimated boutique where he left Fan moments earlier. Inside the rubble-strewn store, Quan discovers the unthinkable. He finds Fan's lifeless body among the wreckage. Cradling her broken form, this battle-hardened man is reduced to helpless tears. Meanwhile, a journalist receives a phone call from a group identifying themselves as the authentic IRA. Using the code word Phoenix, they claim responsibility for the bombing and threaten to target financial institutions next unless the British government ends what they call the illegal occupation of Northern Ireland. The journalist immediately alerts his editor, who assigns his entire staff to investigate this terrorist cell. The journalist heads to the bombing site, now swarming with emergency responders. As he documents the carnage, he captures Quan holding his daughter's body, tears streaming down his bloodied face. Elsewhere, the bombers have taken refuge in a hotel room, discussing the death toll and deciding to remain hidden while police search for anyone with Irish connections.
How many? How many I got?
12 dead so far. 3 times as many injured. That's normal procedure.
Every cop, hotel and landlady in London is now looking for the Irishman.
In Belfast, we meet Liam Hennessy, the Deputy Minister of Northern Ireland and a former IRA commander. He's in bed with his mistress when news of the bombing reaches him. His wife Mary calls, questioning why he didn't come home. Liam lies, claiming he was working late. At his office he receives a call from British Cabinet Minister Catherine Davies, who demands he solve this crisis. Liam sees an opportunity. He tells her that to prevent further unrest, he needs full pardons for 40 of his former associates. Catherine agrees to consider it if he delivers the names of those responsible. Back in London, Quan stands motionless in Fan's bedroom, clutching her teddy bear, drowning in grief. 2 Scotland Yard detectives arrive and ask him to identify a purse recovered near Fan's body. Quan's only response is a desperate plea. Who did this, and why did they take his daughter?
I have no more family.
The detectives promise justice before departing. Hennessy convenes a meeting with his former IRA colleagues. He demands to know the identity of this new IRA faction and how they obtained Phoenix, a code word known only to top-ranking officials. Suspecting a mole, he orders a complete audit of all weapon stockpiles. At Scotland Yard, Commander Richard Bromley is pursuing leads when he's informed that Quan has appeared for the 5th time this week. During their meeting, Bromley tries to reassure the grieving father. Quan offers £20,000 for a single name. Bromley warns him these men are dangerous and advises him to stay away. When Bromley inquires about Quan's family, he learns a tragic truth. With Fan's death, all 3 of Quan's daughters are now gone, along with his wife. Quan is utterly alone. Bromley tells Quan that his repeated visits are diverting resources and urges patience. 3 weeks pass with no progress, but Quan hasn't abandoned his quest. While watching television, he sees Hennessy being interviewed about the IRA.
For a way out, and for some, they are more than happy to resort to violence to upset the status quo.
Something captures his attention. When Hennessy returns to his office, his assistant informs him someone has been waiting on hold for 30 minutes. Hennessy takes the call. Quan immediately demands to know who killed his daughter. Hennessy claims ignorance, offers perfunctory condolences, and disconnects. This dismissal triggers something in Quan. He begins burning photographs and news clippings, his grief transforming into cold determination. His business partner and friend Lam arrives and pleads with him to stop, but Quan has made his decision. He signs over the restaurant to her and prepares to leave. When Lam falls asleep on the couch, Quan slips away into the night. Quan gathers supplies, chemicals, timers, wiring. He disguises his van as a cleaning vehicle. He boards a ferry to Northern Ireland and checks into a modest room. The next day, Quan appears at Hennessy's office carrying a small bag. Security guards move to remove him, but
Yes, may I help you?
Please, I would like to speak to Mr. Hennessy.
Go now, before we make you.
Hennessy intervenes and agrees to speak privately. In the office, Hennessy explains that his IRA involvement is ancient history. He's now dedicated to peace. Quan reminds him that Hennessy has a wife and daughter too. He requests help, but Hennessy again denies knowledge. Quan states that Hennessy will change his mind soon, then excuses himself. Quan enters the restroom. Using innocuous items, he methodically assembles a timed explosive device and plants it before leaving. Moments later, a massive explosion rocks Hennessy's office building. Quan then calls the office. Hennessy, furious, answers and threatens retaliation. Quan demands the names of the bombers. When Hennessy deflects, Quan hangs up. Enraged, Hennessy orders his men to find Quan. Hennessy's drivers spot a wire dangling from his car's fuel tank. After inspection, they discover it's just a note with one word: names. When Hennessy's men trace Quan's location, they storm his building. Quan blocks the door and escapes to the attic. Cornered, he fights off multiple attackers with surprising skill. He makes it to the roof, nearly falls, but slides down. Back inside, he battles several men simultaneously. Despite their numbers, Quan uses efficiency and experience to defeat them. He breaks free, dives through a window, and vanishes. Hennessy's head of security, Jim, returns with the humiliating news that an old man bested his entire team. Hennessy's nephew Sean arrives from London. Hennessy tasks Sean with discreetly approaching Bromley to secure cooperation in identifying the real bombers. Quan follows Hennessy to a restaurant where the politician meets his mistress. While they're inside, Hennessy receives a message, a photograph of him kissing his mistress, with a text demanding the names. Sean meets privately with Bromley. He assures the commander that Hennessy had nothing to do with the attack. They devise a strategy, assign different code words to each member of Hennessy's inner circle. When the bombers strike again, Bromley will provide the code word, revealing the mole. Bromley agrees, provided Scotland Yard makes the arrests. Hennessy retreats to a remote compound he calls the farm. Jim reports they found traces of nitroglycerin in Quan's room. Despite Jim's reassurances, Hennessy remains uneasy. Quan drives deep into the forest surrounding Hennessy's property. He conceals his van and moves silently through the woods. He breaks into a storage shed and plants explosives. A guard notices the open door and raises the alarm. Quan swiftly neutralizes two guards, binds them, and slips away. Minutes later, his bombs detonate. Hennessy orders reinforcements, finally understanding he's dealing with someone extremely dangerous. He approaches his wife Mary about leaving temporarily, but she's already decided to leave him permanently. Quan is his problem. Meanwhile, the authentic IRA cell prepares another device and receives notification that their code word has changed. At the farm, as Mary prepares to depart, another explosion erupts outside. Quan detonated a bomb remotely. Hennessy's men enter the forest to hunt him. One trips a wire, and Quan ambushes him. Jim shoots Quan in the shoulder, but he escapes. Despite his wound, Quan evades capture. Hennessy follows Jim's advice to bring in Sean.
We need 100 more men at least. And if we did that, we'd have the whole of Belfast against us.
Who served in the Royal Irish Regiment and has combat experience. Sean travels to London and meets Mary at her hotel. Their encounter reveals they're having an affair. As they embrace, Sean receives Hennessy's call requesting help. Mary manipulates Sean, suggesting he should be in power. She reveals her brother was killed years ago, and she wanted Hennessy to murder those responsible. When he refused, she turned against him. Alone in the forest during a rainstorm, Quan treats his gunshot wound. He cauterizes it, the pain overwhelming him until he loses consciousness. In fevered dreams, he remembers fleeing China with his family, fighting to save them but losing everyone except young Fan. Hennessy receives a classified file on Quan, revealing his background as a highly trained operative. One of Hennessy's old IRA commanders, Maggie McConnell, arrives demanding to know why her weapon caches are being investigated. Hennessy explains the Semtex used in the bombing came from her stockpiles. She denies involvement. McConnell reveals she believes the bombing campaign should continue. In a shocking admission, Hennessy reveals he secretly authorized the bombings, but with instructions to target only financial institutions and avoid civilians. McConnell accuses him of caring more about his political position than Irish freedom. She leaves, but Hennessy threatens. If the bombers aren't caught, he'll come after her. Hennessy returns home and finds his dog unconscious and his gun missing. Quan emerges, holding Hennessy at gunpoint. He reveals he's wearing an explosive vest and demands the names. Hennessy swears he doesn't know their identities but reveals the code word trap.
We've both tried to put it behind us. You and me, we're alike.
Quan gives him 24 hours before disappearing. Bromley's team reviews footage and identifies one bomber by a distinctive burn mark on his hand. Hennessy's mistress hurries toward a waiting motorcyclist. Seconds later, a bomb explodes on a passing bus, killing everyone aboard. Sean arrives at the farm. Hennessy receives a call from Bromley, who reports the bombers struck without using any code word. Catherine Davies calls next. No pardons unless he delivers the bombers. The situation worsens. One operative reveals Sean and Mary are having an affair. Then news arrives. Mary called McConnell after meeting with Sean. Every conversation was reported back. Bromley's team has identified the bomber and obtained footage of him meeting with McConnell. Bromley calls Hennessy just as she arrives.
And the other two with him?
I was about to get to them, Minister.
Monitoring via drone, Bromley gives an ultimatum. Scotland Yard will arrest McConnell, exposing Hennessy's connections, or he can interrogate her himself and provide all names. Hennessy confronts McConnell at gunpoint. He demands the names and locations. When she refuses, he shoots her in the leg. In agony, she surrenders the names. Hennessy sees his mistress on the list. She can lead investigators to him. He realizes Mary's betrayal. He shoots McConnell again, killing her. Despite the risk, Hennessy provides the names to Bromley. In the forest, Sean tracks Quan to a shelter. As Sean investigates, Quan ambushes him. Both men draw knives, and a brutal fight ensues. They slash at each other until Quan lands a kick that drops Sean. Sean counterattacks, nearly impaling himself, but Quan pulls him back. Later, with Sean bound, Quan interrogates him. Sean reveals everything, the names and locations, including the man with the burned hand who killed Fan. Quan asks about Sean's family before cutting him free.
My brother? The rest have passed away.
Sean returns to the farm and discovers McConnell's body. He sits with Hennessy, who explains the bombers were warned. Sean denies involvement until Hennessy confronts him about Mary. He explains Mary manipulated Sean. Hennessy gives Sean one final assignment and tells him to leave for America immediately. Bromley's team surrounds the hotel room where the bombers are hiding, but Quan has already infiltrated the building. He poses as a maintenance worker checking for a gas leak. The bombers let him into the room. Quan observes each person until he identifies the man with the burn mark, his daughter's killer. The bombers grow suspicious and discover a weapon in Quan's toolbox. Quan explodes into action. A fierce gunfight erupts. Quan kills 2 bombers immediately. He engages in hand-to-hand combat with another, smashing the man's head with a television. A fourth attacks with a knife, but Quan grabs a towel and strangles him to death. As police raid the room, Quan vanishes. Meanwhile, Sean and Hennessy's men interrogate the mistress about the next target. She breaks under torture and reveals an airport. They rush to the scene, grab the journalist's laptop and hurl it into an empty jetway. It explodes with tremendous force, but no one is hurt. Bromley receives reports about a Chinese man who attacked the bombers. Once they extract all information from Hennessy's mistress, Sean executes her. Catherine Davies calls Hennessy, revealing she knows everything about his mistress and his role in the bombings. She had the mistress killed, but rather than arrest Hennessy, the government will use this as leverage, ensuring his complete cooperation. He's now their puppet. Mary is at home when the doorbell rings. She opens it to find Sean, who shoots her in the head. Hennessy returns to his farmhouse, where Quan is waiting. Quan informs him that he knows about the mistress and Hennessy's involvement. He forces Hennessy to send the incriminating photograph to the media. Now the world will know the deputy minister is a terrorist. With his mission complete, Quan leaves. Back in London, Lamb is at the restaurant when she sees Quan working as if nothing happened. Bromley receives confirmation that Quan has returned but refuses to send officers to arrest him. He tells his team they owe Quan a debt. Lamb rushes to Quan and embraces him. In her arms, this man who single-handedly dismantled a terrorist network finally allows himself to feel. He breaks down crying, his grief pouring out at last. The film ends with Quan having achieved justice for his daughter at tremendous cost. He has avenged Fan, exposed the truth, and survived, but remains a man forever broken by loss. If you enjoyed this intense recap of The Foreigner, hit that like button and subscribe for more action-packed movie breakdowns. Drop a comment below telling us which movie you want us to recap next.